right, what's going on, everybody? So we're just going to get right into it all. I'm not even going to talk about where I've been, what's been going on. We're not even going to get into all that because there is just way too much to dissect and unpack with all this. So let's just get in and talk about this 2020 presidential election, everything that has gone on, and the stuff that's still going on. I mean, let's just talk about it. Let's just get into it, okay? So let's just get into some of just how crazy these past 4 years have been and where we are right now. Let's just try to break this all down and compact all of this because it's a lot. It's a lot going on, and we're just going to go ahead and just say what we got to say is that Joe Biden is president-elect. He is going to be the new president, the 46th president of the United States of America. And Kamala Harris, Senator Kamala Harris, she is going to be the new vice president-elect of the United States. So let's just go. Let's just go and get into it. Let's unpack all this, all the bullshit, everything. Let's go. Black women have come through and saved y'all's asses once again. And not only black women, even though we did vote in the largest percentage for Biden Harris, but black men as well, Asian Americans, and even though there were quite a few of Latin Americans who I will get into later, discussing them briefly because they don't need that much. The ones that, they don't need that much attention. But the ones that did vote overwhelmingly, but of course, we as black women put this election on our back like we do everything else and pulled through. So here you have it. And the thing about it is you see all of these celebrations in the street and all these countries and everything like that. And that just lets you know. One of the news people on the news said something about, and I was thinking the same thing almost, like this is the first time that there has been this big of a group in 4 years. Because remember, people were marching and protesting the day after the election in 2016. But this is the first time that we have seen this many people in one place, happy, dancing. I mean, that's scary, isn't it? I mean, all these, scary things that all of us socialists and everything are going to be doing. I mean, that's just terrifying, just dancing in the street and having a good old time, and different races getting together and different genders and sexual identities and everything just getting together for a common cause. I mean, isn't that scary? Isn't that scary in the United States of America? I guess so. But I mean, and the thing about it is with all those people who voted for Trump, because there still was a large majority of people who voted for Trump, and a lot of them were people who said they weren't voting for Trump, but that's their business, whatever. When you get in that booth or you fill out that absentee, you do what you do. That's your business, that's your prerogative. But I'm not with Biden on, I understand he has to say this, and I'm sure because of the type of person that he is, the type of man that he is, he does want to work together and he does want to work for everyone else. But me, myself, and I am not interested in agreeing to disagree anymore. I'm not interested in trying to get along with a bunch of bigots, a bunch of people who put their interest in their race and the power that they feel like they're losing in their race or whatever. I don't have anything for you. I'm not here for it anymore. I never really was, but I'm not trying to work with anybody. That's not my job. I just get on here and run my mouth. I'm a regular person, so I don't have to do anything. Yes, I work in the workforce, but I can be cordial at work, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. That's just all I can say about that. So you will be getting no warm and fuzzies from Danny B at all. And I'm pretty sure a lot of other people feel the same way, but it's not happening. It's not going down. Now let's talk about, I can't even joke around anymore. I was about to say y'all's president, but I can't even joke around about that anymore because I know it pisses me off. But let's just talk about what we have here. He still has not conceded. He still has not. It is 3 days after it's a week. I'm recording this a week after the election, at the official election, and 3 days after the election was called in favor of Biden-Harris winning the election, fair and square. But of course, there's all these dramatics and everything like that. And he really doesn't think that he has to leave office. He really doesn't think that his term is over. And these Republicans and everything like that, they're going to keep this going because they want to keep people out there to vote in the Georgia election that's coming up in January, the runoff election. They're going to want to keep their people energized and everything. But what you're doing is you're just like what you did now. You just pissed a lot of people off. And what happened in Georgia with Georgia turning blue and seeing how all that can happen, you're not doing nothing but energizing the people who didn't vote or who weren't eligible to vote but will be eligible to vote regardless of age or whatever. You're energizing them. But, of course, they don't see it that way. And that's fine. But basically what we have here is we have a person who is occupying the White House, and he's not used to being told no. He's not being used to losing. He can't control this narrative, and he can't take it. He doesn't know what to do. He knows what he's facing once he gets out of office, and he's terrified. And did I mention he's not used to losing or being told no? I mean, that's just, it's real. I mean, this man has lived 70 plus, almost 80 years. Let's keep it real. He's in his mid 70s. I don't give a damn how old he is exactly. But this man has lived for basically 70 some years and has been used to getting his way and everything going his way and being able to talk and buy his way out of everything. And you can't do it with that. So as for needing, wanting, accepting, whatever, any kind of a concession speech or any kind of easy transition from this president and his administration, trust me, it's not needed. It doesn't matter. And I saw something that came across before I started recording this part. I saw something that came across my phone talking about that they're already putting in plans to do something that they already have planned, some kind of budget thing that they had planned for February. I mean, who's going to tell them? I mean, you're not going to be there in February. So, you can do all these recounts and waste people's money and everything like that. You could do what you want to do, but the election is done. Well, I mean, it's not officially done, but I mean, you're calling all this fraud. There has been no evidence of fraud or anything. And they actually did find a couple votes, mail-in votes that were turned in after somebody died. But guess what? Those votes were for Trump. So, and I'm not saying that this hasn't happened or anything like that, but they're not going to say that. They're not going to give you the real on that. But whatever. I mean, it is what it is. So we're not expecting anything. We don't need anything from that administration because, I mean, Secret Service, the police, the FBI, whoever, if you don't leave that office on January 20th, it is what it is. So I want to talk about a few facts and figures that have been going on, have been brought up about all of this. And I find it very interesting that I find these facts and figures very interesting. Let's just say that. So almost, if not now it is over 70 million Americans voted for Trump. They are okay with it. They are the same people who are saying, I don't care who wins, or they're the same people who are saying, I'm okay with Trump because he has done this, that, and the other. However, it also means that you are saying that you're okay with racism, with homophobia, with xenophobia, with children being locked in cages, with your health care being taken away, just so many crazy things that have gone on that he has endorsed, that he has condoned. You are all okay with that. That's what that says. That we still have almost half of the voters, people who voted, who are okay with everything that Trump did. And not only that, this election was a record-breaking election, period. Like, the most people in history came out and voted in this election. And that could be a factor as to why more people voted for Trump. Yes, definitely. But it still says a lot. And we're not going to forget that. 18% of black men voted for Trump. Are y'all crazy? I mean, I think y'all really like being well, we're always going to be the minority. Well, I shouldn't say always. That's what their fear is. So we're going to take that back. We're going to rewind that, take that back. But I think that these black men that voted for Trump, and a lot of people could sit up here and say that it was because they don't agree with the crime bill that he did back in the day, and which he has explained that he doesn't have an agenda for black people, that Kamala Harris, or what she did for locking up all these black men when she was Attorney General of California, which, I mean, it doesn't take long to Google some stuff. It doesn't take long to read. It doesn't take long to go to their official website and get the facts and figures of what has happened. It doesn't take long to reach out to people who have these true facts and figures. It doesn't take long to do that, to where you know a lot of that was greatly exaggerated. But I digress, because, you know, it doesn't matter. People are going to listen to what they hear online, and people are still saying this, that, and the other. I mean, stop it. Just, okay. So not only did 18% of black men vote for Trump, but more white people voted for Trump in 2020 than in 2016. That says a lot. Not surprising, but it says enough for me. And, you know, so there's that. And people keep asking me what's up with Ohio. You know what the hell's up with Ohio. I mean, it's not even a surprise anymore. You should know what Ohio gives. Who all here is, I mean, I still don't understand, but we know what it is. I'm just going to leave it at that. And speaking of Ohio, there was a lady on the news. It was the following day. It was the day after the election. And, of course, Ohio was called in favor of Trump the night of the election. No shocker there. But this lady, she was a Trump supporter, and the news was interviewing her, and she was in tears that she was so happy that he won Ohio. That says a lot. Those tears were not tears of joy by any means necessary. They were tears of fear. That's exactly what it was. It was almost like a relief that Trump won. I mean, girl. And it comes down to, and this isn't just about, oh, girl, I was just talking about, it comes down to the majority of white people voting for Trump. It was not because of his policies, because we know he has none. It's not because he was a good president, because he was terrible. It's because of, they don't care. That's what it is. They do not care. They don't care about their fellow citizens who are in the minority. They don't even care about themselves, because a lot of Trump supporters, he's not looking out for nobody but himself. But his things that he has put in place are going to hurt a majority of his supporters. So it's mind-boggling just how we still have so much to overcome in 2020. We reverted back over these past 4 years. I mean, it started before. Racism has never gone away, but it was subdued. And these past 4 years have really just shown what it gives, if I could say it that way. So anyone who voted for Trump was either just for selfish reasons or just out of fear. That's basically what it was. And the fear ties into their racism. Because what I don't understand is, you got all these racist white folks out here. And let's just keep it real. Got all these racist white folks out here, and they'll tackle lions and tigers and bears and swim with the sharks and do all this other bullshit, but they are scared of black people. I don't understand. I don't get it. They'll jump off of mountains, they'll scale buildings, skyscrapers, whatever, but they're scared of black people. Make that make sense, please. I don't understand. Dear Hispanics who voted for Trump, oh my goodness. I mean, now we know many Cubans identified themselves as white. That's cute. But they overwhelmingly, and it wasn't just Cubans, that not only that part of the Hispanic population, but it was a majority of Cubans voted for Donald Trump. Now they could talk about they're scared that the U.S. is going to become a communist nation and all this other stuff. I mean, come on now. Y'all cannot be that damn naive, but obviously you were. And it was just like they were interviewing young Hispanic voters, mainly in Florida, who were saying that they were voting for Trump because they like what he has done for the United States. Are you serious? And the thing is, these Hispanics that voted for Trump, they most likely are people who are citizens. Well, I mean, obviously they're citizens. I don't mean it like that. What I mean is they probably don't have or don't care about these children who they may not be Cuban or whatever, but coming from all these other countries, these kids being separated from their parents, being thrown in cages. Trump doesn't know the difference between Mexicans and Cubans and Puerto Ricans and, El Salvadorians. He doesn't know the difference between y'all. Come on now. He has no clue what the difference is. He just sees Spanish people, and I mean that he just calls them that probably because they speak Spanish. He doesn't know the difference between all of y'all. He's not a smart man. So he will put, the same way he does with black people, the same way he does with poor white people, he will put all of you in the same box. He doesn't care. And you all feel that you're safe because you're citizens and you feel like you're doing the right thing out here and you're not one of them. But you are. In his eyes, in his administration's eyes, you shouldn't even be here. So you still support that? Okay, whatever. But he lost, so that's your loss too. So all of these so-called patriots out here, which I just think that's just hilarious. You think because you carry a gun around and you wear army fatigues and you're not even in the military, that you feel that you are a patriot and you're doing what's right for this country. No, you're not. I'm just saying, you look stupid, you look funny, and we're all laughing at you. But you really think that what you're doing is okay. And I guess because you get away with it, I mean, you all can congregate in all these places and do all these hateful things and say all these hateful things and intimidate people, including law enforcement. And you are, nothing happens to you. So, of course, you feel like you have the one up, which you do. And it doesn't matter what president is under. You all have just gotten more emboldened under Trump. But, whatever you choose to do, you're going to do it anyway. However you choose to fight this, which there's nothing to fight, is cute. You think that you can. But whatever you choose to do at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. The results are the results. So there's that. Now let's talk about the fool in the room. One of them, the main one that we're discussing here. Now, I don't know about you all, but I could hardly sleep this past week. I didn't feel a sigh of relief until I was out at the grocery store and I had just got off the phone with my mom and I was walking out the grocery store and she called me and said that they called Biden the winner, that he won. They're calling it that he had got enough electoral votes officially. They called Pennsylvania and he won. I didn't even see it personally yet, but at that moment, I just felt a huge sigh of relief. I felt like, oh my, like it was just like all this weight that I had been carrying around for the past 4 years was finally just had dissolved. And I know we still have months to go before Biden officially takes office, and there's going to be some bullshit that happens between this time. There's going to be all sorts of stunts and shows and shenanigans, but it just felt so good at that moment. Back to me hardly being able to sleep. Now, I would try to go to sleep at a normal hour, but I would catch myself just with the news channels on. And the night of the election, well, actually the morning after the election, early morning, like 2:30, 2:45 in the morning, I happened to be up. And the fool came up and did yet another, but probably the most delusional speech anyone in the world, in history, has ever done. And basically said that he won this election, and that there's all this fraud and everything like that, which we already knew that's what he was going to do. I mean, he called fraud in the 2016 election because he didn't win the popular vote. So, I mean, okay. And the thing that gets me is he wasn't winning the popular vote, and he wasn't winning the electoral vote. How did you win? I don't understand. But I guess it's not for us to understand, so I'm just going to move on. So pretty much he said he's going to be filing lawsuits against the states that were still remaining. Of course, it was all the ones except for North Carolina, which he was winning. But he was going to file lawsuits against the states that he was losing. And at the time, if they hadn't called Michigan yet, they hadn't called Arizona, Nevada, Georgia was still counting, Pennsylvania was still counting. And I want to say, was Wisconsin called yet? I can't remember, but there were still quite a few states, and he was already planning lawsuits and all this other stuff to try to throw everybody off where he was losing. So let me ask this. So every state you won, there could not possibly be any fraud. So if Biden wanted to come out, if his campaign wanted to come out and say, hey, I felt like we did, that there was fraud in Ohio, or there was fraud in, hell, what other state did he win? Texas. Then I want to recount, or I'm calling fraud, and I feel like I deserve those electoral votes too because I won, because I said I won. Now, how would that sound? I mean, come on now. Hillary could have done that back in 2016 because the election was closer in 2016 than it was in 2020. So I don't understand. Now, I know it's not common sense, so it's not made for me to understand because I'm a very logical person, but I digress. But let me ask this too. So in these states that you're filing lawsuits against, there were other races as well. There were Senate races, there were House races, there were other local elections that were going on. So the only votes that were impacted were the presidential ones, even though they were all on the same ballots. There was not a separate ballot for the president, and then all the other nominees for everything else were on a separate ballot. No, they were all on the same ballot. So are those not fraud? So can we go back and revisit those and be like, hey, there's fraud on here. So maybe so-and-so didn't actually win this Senate seat, or so-and-so didn't actually win, or this levy didn't actually pass because there is fraud on this ballot. I mean, it's just so ridiculous, and it's not even funny anymore. Like, I've been trying to find the humor in these lawsuits and everything like that, but I can't. And then the idiot gets up again the next night and he's doing the same stuff, just delusional again, and saying that, he won and that the fraud votes need to be thrown out, and there's all this evidence of fraud, and they weren't letting Republican poll watchers in and everything, which they were. There were Republican and Democratic poll workers at every single location, and multiple Democratic and Republican poll workers, or poll watchers, I'm sorry, at these polling locations. So, I mean, but the thing is, he's not saying this for anybody except for his base to get them riled up. He has to know, even though he's delusional, but his people had to be telling him that there's no basis to this. But of course, they're going to go along with it. Giuliani's funny looking self. I mean, everyone else who, all these other Republicans who many of them have not even called to congratulate President Biden. He's gotten congratulations from other countries, from leaders of other countries, but he has not gotten that many. The only one I heard of, and there may be more, but the only person that I heard of that had congratulated Biden was Mitt Romney, which is not surprising. I mean, so it just amazes me how things are different here and there, but whatever. So these other governors, Republican governors and other senators and things like that are getting on TV, and they're just spilling the same stuff that Trump is saying. They're just regurgitating the same lies, and it's really annoying. And the thing is, you all know better than this. You all know better than it, because not only is this turning people off of elections, but it's also questioning the validity of our nation's elections, and you all are contributing to that. I mean, repeating all these conspiracies and all this other bullcrap. I mean, just stop it. Just stop it. And it's sad, but this is their funeral. You know how they say funerals bring out the worst in some people? This is their funeral, and it's really bringing out, even though they already proven that they're trash by falling in line, by falling in line with Trump. They are really just showing how ridiculous and how biased and how ignorant that they are, how money hungry, how power hungry they are to try to keep this power that they felt like they were emboldened with over the past 4 years. I mean, y'all's good girlfriend lost. Let her and her crazy ass family go. Hopefully they'll be getting a taste of their own medicine, but I don't put anything past them getting out of anything. They have all these charges and stuff going against them. I know for sure Trump does, Ivanka does, and Eric Trump does, and Jared Kushner. They have all these, I can't think of the word of it, but basically lawsuits and indictments or whatever that are following them. So when they do leave office, which I don't understand why, like Eric and Melania and Jared, why they couldn't face their crimes or whatever they allegedly have done. And I hate that Trump, and this is for any president, I don't care who it is, Democrat, Republican, white, black, whatever. Just because you're president of the United States, you should not be exempt from anything. If you're out here doing dirty, then you need to be accountable for your actions at that moment. Not when your term is over, and even then you still may not even have to be held accountable for what you have done. One of my favorite sayings, and in the words of Lenithia Monique Leaks, aka Nene, you can't win when you're dirty. And they just see all of this falling apart. And the crazy thing is, these senators, these GOP senators that are coming out and saying all this stuff, y'all still got the majority in the Senate. Even though we know you all don't want a Democratic president, and you're not going to be able to get away with all the other stuff that you've been doing that Trump had allowed you to get away with. Y'all are scared. It's okay. Y'all were scared of Trump, and then now you're scared post-Trump. It's okay. Y'all are suckers, and y'all fell for it. But, I mean, and the thing about it is, once Trump is out of office, regardless of what happens, if he has to face the music for his crimes or whatever he has done, then you all still have to face the music for the things that he did and that you all condoned. I just can't wait till I can say officially that the chickens have come home to roost. And I am so excited about watching each and every one of you throw temper tantrums every week and not be able to 100% get your way. Mitch McConnell, I know you're really going to be losing your shit and be even more evil and power hungry and just doing all sorts of just stuff that's not even necessary just because you feel that you can, and just to be spiteful and evil. I mean, we know that's what you already give, but it's going to be even elevated now. And I just can't wait until, I'm just crossing my fingers that in January, the Democrats are in charge. Well, I'm sorry, have the majority of the Senate, and he'll still be in his term. So he will fall down to minority leader unless they select somebody else. And that will just be a wonderful, beautiful thing. I will be so for that. In the meantime, we need to get the majority of the Senate. We held on to the majority of the House, but we need a majority of the Senate. We need that. And we really need y'all, all my family and friends out there in Georgia. I'm going to stay on you. I'm going to remind you, get out there and vote in the Senate runoff race in January. I'll be posting the information on my Instagram pages and Facebook pages of all the information. I got a lot of family and friends in Georgia, so we need y'all again, Georgia. Come through. And lastly, I want to discuss my favorite people in the world, which are the fake woke and these fake hoteps who are out here with all these lies and just confusion and, I'm just mad at the world, and I'm just against everything that's going to benefit anyone, just so I can be heard and just so you can look at me and I can get the attention that I'm oh so desperately needing. I mean, stop it. Why are you all so annoying? And the reason why I say that is because you take these things that you hear online, you don't go and research them for yourself. You listen to other people who are getting their sources from somebody else who got it from someone else who did not get it from a correct source. And you just keep regurgitating and saying the same old stuff over and over again that has no basis, it has no merit. And I don't understand why you all do this. I understand if you don't like Biden. I understand if you don't like Kamala. They weren't my first choice, but the thing what it comes down to is what this country needed to get back to, which is some kind of normalcy. This country isn't going to be for us for, I don't know if ever in our lifetime even, because the way things have just been exposed over these past, 12 years, since Obama got in office. They don't feel like they had to suppress their racism anymore. And we don't need black people against other black people trying to make us feel bad because we want to at least try and attempt to just be able just to get by. You know what I mean? I know we need so much more than that. Trust me, if anyone knows, I know. And majority of us who have gotten out here and voted know. We know this. But not sitting by and not doing anything, which is what you all do, is you just get on social media and you're just hateful and you just want to. And here's the thing too, what I don't understand. Why do you feel like you had to put other people down? Especially your so-called quote unquote brothers and sisters. Why do you have to feel like you had to put us down just to get your point across, which is a baseless point? I mean, usually, I'm here for everyone's ideas and differences and things like that. But what you all don't realize that you're doing, and you may realize that you're doing it, you're just causing confusion. I mean, that's all that you're doing. You're causing chaos and confusion, just like that fool in the office. And for those of you who didn't vote, which I'm pretty sure a lot of you did, you just want to make it look a certain way. But for those of you who don't vote, you're not helping the cause either. And for people to sit up here and listen to these celebrities who don't have our interests in mind, I mean, people were still backing up Ice Cube when it was revealed the relationship that he had with the people who are with Trump, and why they basically sent him out to do their dirty work to the black community, because he's someone who in the black community is respected, who's admired. It's the reason why Trump was pushing Kanye West. Even though we all know Kanye West is crazy as hell, a lot of y'all were still supporting Kanye. And people actually, what was it, like 50 or 60,000 people actually voted for Kanye West? I mean, come on now. Because he was in the ballot on some states. He wasn't on the ballot in Ohio because he didn't make it, but there were states, and I know California was one of them, but California is smarter than that, where he was on the ballot. I mean, you're not helping. And the thing is, it would be different, and I'm not talking to the people who are actually out here doing stuff, who are actually out here organizing and trying to make sure that black people are getting what we deserve. Those aren't the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about the people who are just saying just whatever, just because it sounds right, and just because you want to sound in the minority, just to be different, and just to get some attention. To me, that's just all it is. So, I mean, but y'all are always going to be in the minority because, what was it, 91% of black women voted for Biden and Harris? And then what was it, like 80 some percent of black men, which we need to talk about that. And we're not done with you black men. The 18% that voted for Biden or didn't vote at all, we got some issues, but that's for another day. But you can't tell me that 80% of men, let's just put it all together. About 85% of the black population, 85 to 90% of the black population is not necessarily happy with who we put in the White House. They're not necessarily happy with the way things are going. But we did what we had to do to survive. And we did what we had to do to get that fool out of the office. Black people, is it always going to be this way? Is there always going to be division? And we're never going to be able to get together and do anything. And a lot of y'all don't like history because you don't like facing the facts of what black people went through back in history, and that's cool. But if you also see in history, black people united and got shit done over and over again. And we just can't do that today because there are this group of people who are just so hell-bent on just being different. And nothing's wrong with that, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about people who just want to be different just because. I'm not like y'all. You know, I'm my own person. You know, that's the thing. I mean, people were criticizing Biden in his acceptance speech for mentioning God and all this other stuff. I mean, he's a devout Catholic and has been all his life. Why can't this man talk about God? It doesn't mean that he thinks he's God or he thinks he's a savior or something like that. Y'all do too damn much, and I'm getting pissed off, so let me just end it right there. So anyway, that's what I have to say about the 2020 election. There's so much more I could have said, but I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm happy of the outcome. Like I said, it wasn't my first choice of nominees, but I'm happy that that fool is out of office, and that should be what is celebrated right now. I was going to do this in a video because I want to start doing videos, but I'm not camera ready. I haven't been feeling good, as you can probably tell on my voice. There's been COVID running around in my family. I had the flu, which it was the flu. I did get tested. So it's been a lot going on, but I just wanted to get this out as soon as possible. I'll be getting back on track to the fun stuff. I guess that's what you can call it. Not all of my podcasts aren't going to be like this, and especially hopefully not now, that we have a tinge bit of hope, just going forward. But everybody buckle up, sit back and buckle up for these next few months, because it's going to be a mess. Trump is going to give us everything he has. And I'm just like, here we go. But Danny B Speaks, the podcast, will continue. It may not be as consistent, but it will continue. So just please look out for it when you do see it posted, and please share it. I don't know why I have to seem like I almost had to beg for people to share the podcast, even if it's not your cup of tea. But anyway, there's that. Also, my other podcast, Not Another True Crime Podcast, will also be coming back. The next episode that I'm going to be doing is about Christopher Watts, that bitch ass who killed his wife, his pregnant wife, and his 2 little precious baby girls. I'll be doing that one. And I wanted to put it out sooner, but there was some other things that I started watching on it as to why I haven't done that. But yeah, that's going to be the next one that is coming up. So hopefully within the next week, I will have that done. I have all my notes and everything. I just had to put it all together so I can make sure that I cover everything that I want to cover in that one. But anyway, thank you all for listening to Danny B Speaks, the podcast. Of course, as always, you can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and now Amazon Podcast. And don't forget, you can always check out the podcast on my website, DannieBSpeaks.com. Also stay up on DannieBSpeaks.com for different types of updates that are going on, different type of blog posts that I'll be posting. And you can share those too. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Support your girl. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can always hit me up at DannieBSpeaks@gmail.com. If you would like to be a sponsor of the podcast, if you would like for me to sponsor you and your podcast or your endeavors, please hit me up at DannieBSpeaks@gmail.com. Again, thank you all for listening, and I'll be back to the BS real soon. Thanks again, and have a good one. Be safe. Try to find joy and happiness. Yay. All that good stuff. So anyway, take care of yourself and each other, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.